Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. You can follow us on Twitter, of all things, at Frank on Absolute. I think we're also on Facebook, MySpace. I'm on LinkedIn, if you really want to
You're on Friends,
dig deep.
Friends Reunited as well.
Friends Reunited.
Yeah.
I'm on under Albury Technical School, if you want to go in deep on that one. Don't think there's a photograph. There is some photographs of me, but not from school.
Yeah.
Weird. I think that's about all the social networking you can get us on. Bebo. It's something called Bebo.
No, but there's Pinterest and Tumblr. You haven't even gone there.
No. And I'm on Grindr.
Oh.
Get over it.
Skinner, Dean and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
What is it?
Well, I would like to talk about Gérard Depardieu.
Gérard Depardieu.
Have you been reading about him?
Who hasn't? He's been all over the papers like a big Frenchman.
Well, he has. Because
Does he look like, if Paul Merson was on a desert island for 3 years, would he look like Gérard Depardieu?
I'd give it 3 days. Maybe.
Yeah.
Too much tiramisu. Gerard doesn't look like the type to say, "Oh no, I won't have seconds," does he?
No.
I like that in him, though.
Yeah, he's always
pleasure-loving, bacchanalian.
He's a bullish character.
Definitely bacchanalian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
But he's a Rusky now, isn't he?
Yeah. In case you don't know this story, he's become Russian. He said he was fed up because of the tax system in France.
Yeah.
And Vladimir Putin said, and I quote, "If you'd like to have a Russian passport, consider it settled." See, that's how the Russians do stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Can I just
brilliant.
say, I love their immigration laws.
It's brilliant. It's like a gypsy horse fair. All in cash.
I love the fact they did that and then didn't get bogged down in 3 months
Bogged
worth
down.
of paperwork.
I think he's still working. Exactly. That's the way to do it.
Ironic, really, isn't it? Because you'd think the Russians would be a country that would go for red tape, wouldn't they? It would work for them, wouldn't it? Red tape.
Quite 70s as well, I like that.
I paid... I went into motorway services over the holiday, and they hadn't got... The machine wasn't working, and I had to pay for petrol in cash.
Oh,
Felt
yeah.
great.
Oh, did you
Felt
like that?
so 70s.
It's a good job you had it, though.
It was. I was lucky I had it, because I'd already filled the car.
Oh.
It's like 58 quid. And at the end of it, the woman said, "You can put this in one of your shows." Sure enough.
Here we are.
Yeah.
We'll get a good 25 minutes out of that.
No, I think it's fair enough, isn't it, Depardieu? Because to Russia, it's the January window.
Well, the
He's
French...
allowed to move.
The French Prime Minister... I was going to say his name and then I realised I will sound like a middle-class parent trying to teach their child French, but he is called Jean-Marc Ayrault.
Oh, I
his name.
love that.
Very good.
That's the sexiest thing ever.
Oh, I'll say it again. Jean-Marc Ayrault. He said he described it as shabby behaviour, didn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't like. He's not a fan of
I like
defection.
that. Wasn't shabby behaviour the informer in Starsky and Hutch?
Is that right?
Yeah, I think that was his name.
Would you go? Would you
He
go
was a
Russian?
bit of a character. No, I'd. If I had a
You could
choice.
change your nationality.
Well, I've often thought this. I'd be German.
Really?
Definitely.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, I think
controversial.
They're the closest to the British, aren't they? The Germans. Don't you
It's
think?
not closest to the royal family, surely.
I think they're closest. You know, it would be no good me taking on something Latino. I haven't got the temperament for it. I've got that. Sort
You're
of,
not Latino.
I've got that reserve of the Germans with a
Discipline.
little added bit of acceptance of public nudity, which I wouldn't mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I would. That would be my choice. Yeah. And also, it's one of those nationalities that you really want to have arrived late.
Yes.
Ideally, don't you? You don't
Yeah.
want to. Yeah, you can say I didn't come till 2013. Don't blame me.
Yeah,
It's a good
you want to
time
be
to be
late to the
German.
party.
Yeah. Do you ever think you must fantasise about being?
100%. I'd go Greek. People often mistake me for a member of the Greek royal family. I think I could be that. I like the food. I'd be very wealthy in their terms now, wouldn't I?
You would.
Yeah.
I could see you as a.
Yes, I can.
Yeah. I might go Brazilian.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've actually already had an email just arrived now. I have a French exam in an hour and I'm currently stressing about all the information to remember and remembering it all in French. So could you please play Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms, to keep me calm? Couple of things. We don't really do requests.
Also, who does exams on a Saturday?
That was my next point. Who does an exam?
Also, Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms. Extraordinary request.
I don't know if that'll calm anyone down.
No, they should have asked for some Serge Gainsbourg.
Yeah, that'd have been
Get them
nice.
into-
Or Charlotte, I suppose.
Or Charlotte.
Oh,
Although she tends to sing in English, doesn't she, Charlotte?
Still nice and calming, isn't it?
Also, didn't she expose herself completely naked to Pete Doherty in something recently?
Did she?
Film or something?
Oh, yes, in a film. It was arty, though.
Oh, God, it was arty.
Well,
No one's denying that.
I mean, I haven't seen Skyfall yet, so the chances of me having seen that are even smaller, aren't they?
You haven't seen Skyfall. I'm going to start leaking spoiler alerts into our
So
conversation.
behind, you haven't seen Live and Let Die. That's how behind you are.
Very behind the curve on the old
that,
cinema.
the Ken Dodd surprise appearance. I had no. I mean, who would have cast him as a Bond villain? But he was actually really.
Terrifying.
Yeah?
Yeah, I loved it.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Now, I'm going to tell you something which you might think is made up, but I swear on all that is sacred, this is absolutely true.
Okay.
I was in a car the other day, a mini cab, and the driver said to me, I like you very much.
Oh, I
And
don't
thought,
like where this is going.
Here we go.
Were you in the front seat?
No, I was on his lap. No, he was in the back seat with me. Now, he said, I know I like you very much. He said, ever since I came to this country from, I think it was Egypt somewhere.
They like you very much.
Yeah, and he said, when I first came to this country, I watched you all the time. And I thought, oh, that's, lovely. And he said a lot of the programmes now, they're not good. He said, I go to work and I come home, for a laugh, and there are no laughs, he said.
Oh.
I thought, well, I'm still on. But I thought he means apart from me, is what he means.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was sort of basking in this praise. And then he said to me, do you ever see the lady who played Betty? And in a weird string of mistakes, he'd read Frank Skinner on his chitty, taken that as Frank Spencer, which is one mistake, assumed Frank Spencer was the name of the person in the show and not in the show, and thought it was me.
You were wearing a beret and a raincoat, belt tightly belted.
Yeah, I know, but... so anyway, I texted Michelle Detrice and said, guess what? No, but then he went on about it. He said, because, nowadays, the modern comedians, they're rubbish. And I was thinking, oh, God.
no.
And I couldn't tell him, obviously.
He didn't mention Frank Skinner, did he?
No, he didn't. If he'd have meant... I assumed he'd never heard of me. But I was almost tempted to start going, to try to help him out a bit, And then about 4 days later, I went into I parked somewhere and realised that the parking was on till 10 o'clock at night rather than 6.
Oh, I hate that.
So I thought, I got no change. So I went into a shop. I always buy a pint of milk when I need change.
Right.
So I think, you'll drink milk. It won't be wasted, milk.
No.
And in the boot of the car nowadays, it's like a small fridge. So I went in the shop. I noticed that obviously I paid cash to get change, but the woman had got one of those pin machines, chip and pins.
Oh, yeah.
Still big, aren't they?
Oh, they're very big.
They're still big.
They're like a 1980s calculator.
We'll look back at those chip and pins and say, do you remember when chip and pins were, before they became vapour?
Yeah.
And then were those big chunky things. Anyway, hers was pink. Shocking pink. She was a woman, I'd say, in her late 40s, early 50s. And I said, well, you've got a very feminine machine. And she looked at me, honestly, in absolute...
An odd thing to say, Frank.
Well, I just meant that she had a... But I don't know what she thought I was talking about, but she looked genuinely affronted. And I couldn't see any way out of it.
What was under the counter?
I should have said, "Ooh, Betty," a lady on his door. Oh man, it was terrible. I mean, what could I have meant? Oh, you've got a very
If you
feminine machine.
would like to take a stab at what Frank could have meant, text in on 8, 12,
But,
15.
you know, I don't have X-ray vision, for goodness sake.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
I had the window cleaners the other day, and our window cleaners, they're not like your old traditional who start at the ground and work their way up on a ladder. They start at the roof and come down on a cable.
Is that because you live in a skyscraper, is that?
Well, I don't know if I'd call it a skyscraper.
I just thought it was a nice retro term.
It's more of it's a sky fondler.
Oh, okay.
Is what it is. Because they've had the top smoothed.
That's quite a job doing your windows, though, that great height.
Yeah, what kind of Christmas tip do they get?
From me, nothing. Anyway, the thing is that they just dangle there doing their cleaning, and I get about my business, and that's the deal. One never acknowledges them.
Right.
Because otherwise, once you've said hello, they're there for, like, you know, what do you do then?
Yeah.
We should say 2/3 of your apartment is window, virtually.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So anyway, I was aware of him out the corner of my eye, and then he, Frank, and the double thumbs up.
No.
So I thought, what you've
You
done,
started that, though, didn't you? You started that move, the double thumbs up.
I know,
That's-
but I don't know if I started it, but I certainly popularised it in the 90s. But he, I thought what you've done, you've broken the fourth wall, the classic theatre rule.
Yes.
And then I was still making my breakfast and stuff, and he was hanging there. And I knew he was there, and I knew it was like being on Big Brother.
Oh, yeah.
but in sort of live, the live tour of Big Brother.
Without the fee.
Without the fee, yeah, just the humiliation and the sense of being... I could feel him boring holes in my back with his probing eyes. And it was... I couldn't... you know when you're driving, you realise there's a police car behind you and you can't drive
Yes.
properly. I felt that the sandwich I made was slipshod.
You lost your mojo, Frank.
You know, the squares weren't quite aligned of the two slices of bread.
Oh,
And they were a bit off kilter.
Did you put all the ingredients that you'd planned to put in there, or
I
did the
don't know.
pressure get to you?
My mind was a whirl.
And suddenly you were going, there's just lettuce in here.
In the end, I just
And a
said, I
little
want to
bit
eat
of
this,
piccalilli.
and I just want to legitimise leaving the room. And when you're mid-sandwich, you can't just storm out the room. So I had to sit and eat the sandwich. And I did. I never looked at him again, but I knew he was looking at me. I couldn't swallow. Like that. Every move, the self-consciousness was crippling me. And for what?
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Yeah, we were talking about the new Monopoly piece that's going to be introduced. They haven't decided what it's going to be yet.
But I had forgotten what pieces were in there.
Well, I can remember dog boot, thimble, car.
Dog boot,
Can I just say,
thimble,
I'd
car.
like-
You
I
want a
can
comma
guess.
after all of those. Really?
Yeah.
You know when you play it, you tend to have your favourite piece, don't you? You're loyal to. I can guess what you two are.
Can you?
I think Frank would go for... They have a little boot, which is a bit Depression era,
Yeah.
Yes.
and quite man of the people. And I think that would fit in with Frank's persona.
Right.
I've used the boot before now.
Oh, I knew you would have, Frank. But Angela's Ashes, that boot. I like it.
Yeah. I think it's a bit early Chaplin. But carry on. I've used the thimble as well.
Have you, Frank?
But you are right. I do go for the boot
I knew
generally.
you'd be boot. You see, I'd see out. They used to have a sack of money, but I think
That'd
they
be-
phased that out.
That'll be
Have
Al.
phased that.
That'll be Al.
Yeah.
Or the Scotty dog, maybe. He's a dog. Can you guess
Wrong.
what I'd go for? I think mine's really obvious.
Is yours
I think ruling classes.
sports car?
No, I go for the top hat.
Oh, I
Of
like the top hat.
course.
It's a nice, it's a nice weight to it, isn't it?
I love it.
I did. There was an iron. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
My mum, when I was a kid, she had one of those metal irons.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the iron that she used. So if she had ironing to do, she'd put this metal iron on the cooker, on the gas ring, and heat it up till it was really, really red hot. And then iron with it. And she used it as a doorstop.
Did she?
And when my dad came back from the pub with a coconut, which he often did,
Did he?
I don't know why, he'd often return with a coconut. We lived in Barbados at the time. My mother was the cleaner for Ian Fleming at GoldenEye.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I tell you, I love the books and all that, and we always got the latest one at Christmas signed. But he was a tough taskmaster, I have to say. I'm not saying he hit her, but he shoved her about a bit. But, those were different times. There was the time my dad was going up the house, and he said, he said, I'll give him 007, he said.
007?
Yeah. I don't know what he meant by it. I think he was good. And my mum said, "Oh no, we don't have to move out of the servants' quarters and that," so we didn't go. But that was the iron. What else we talking about? Monopoly.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
Let's cheer ourselves up with a little journey to Email Corner. Was gibt?
We have an email from a lady called Sophie. Hello, Frank, Emily and Alan. I keep seeing random shoes on the road, mostly fast roads, sort of abandoned. How do they get there? Whenever I see them, I always wonder and my imagination runs away with me. I've settled on the theory that lots of people hang their legs out of the car window and their shoes fall off. Or...
What, their indicators are broken?
Yeah, these people have all got cruise control, presumably.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they have suitcases on their roof rack and the zip breaks and their shoes fall out.
But just their shoes, mind.
Who has a roof rack in this day and age?
I was thinking of getting a roof rack, one of those top boxes.
Get a people carrier.
Such a dork, aren't I?
I'm thinking of having something fitted under the car.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bit more private.
Enjoy the speed bumps. Am I overlooking a much simpler reason for shoes on the road? Sophie.
Yes, you are. The fact is, Sophie, we're all living, I think we can now be revealed, we're all living in an enormous game of Monopoly played by God.
Oh, it's
See,
Chaplin boot.
I've noticed some cars on the side of the road as well.
Have you some irons as well, old-fashioned irons?
Not many irons, but quite a lot of cars. And one or two shoes. And some dogs.
There's a huge terrier just off the M1.
There is.
The Yorkshire bit.
No, I mean, it could be newlyweds going over rough terrain.
You think?
Well, that's true.
What do you think it is?
Well, Snow White's a high-mileage driver. No, not Snow White, Cinderella. Oh, ruined my own joke there, didn't I?
No, we're still with you.
Yeah, well, that's nice.
Come on.
But I don't need it. I've done it. I've done that.
Oh, you actually did it.
Cinderella leaves a shoe behind, doesn't she?
Oh, God.
She leaves a shoe behind.
Yeah, stop it now.
Slipper. It's a slipper.
Oh, when I said I was with you, that was then, this is now.
I hated that 18 seconds.
I'll tell you what I am very impressed by, and that is the trainers. They're usually trainers, training shoes, knotted at the laces, thrown over a telegraph wire.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Isn't that like a code?
Is it?
Isn't it like a street code for...
is it some swingers thing?
Someone naughty. No,
God.
some guy that'll sell illegal substances lives there or something.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, I love how vague he's pretending to be. He knows exactly what this code is.
Come on, Frank, surely you've seen it on the Wire box sets.
No, I haven't seen that. It certainly didn't happen in Merlin. Mainly because they didn't have shoelaces. They just had, like, pointy slippers.
Nice.
And obviously didn't have telegraph wires as well.
No.
I should point that out.
What do they have in Merlin?
Magic.
Gruel and fur cloaks.
They have magic. But, no, well, I've never heard that before.
I hate that.
That can't be true. Because that means if you're some sort of, if you deal in the substances business, you'd have to get a job next to telegraph wires.
That's what they do.
That's how they choose their homes.
They walk around flats being shown around them by estate agents.
I mean, is that a section on Zoopla?
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Follow us on Twitter at Frank on Absolute. The old DG. So I'm with Cockaliki and Emily Dean.
I'm not
How are you
how.
feeling about Cock-a-leaky?
I'm not so sure. I mean, I've had a lot longer than you to get used to the fact that Cochrane as a surname can be really played with and
Yeah, but
turned
I
into
think you'll agree
nicknames
that
and-
we've avoided some of the obvious pitfalls.
Well, that's because for broadcast reasons it's not appropriate.
Um,
And hats off to you for that.
Thank you.
Towing the line. Yeah, but I'm all right about Cock-a-leaky.
Okay.
fine.
Well, I'm only dabbling. But someone sent it in last
You're
week.
all right
and
about
it's-
Cock-a-leaky.
Someone-
Your bar's pretty low.
Someone sent us an email or text that said
What
just
about
call me
Mulligatawny?
Leaky. Yeah, nice.
You're all right with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
As long as it's those syllables. That many syllables is what I want to hear.
Well, I think you'll find Mulligatawny is more syllables than
Yes.
Cock-a-leaky.
Yeah, I like that better.
So the more syllables suit,
Yeah,
the better.
yeah.
This is the worst conversation you've ever had in both of your lives.
I'm trying to think now of a standard soup. that
Minestrone.
has
Are
more.
you going minestrone?
Not as many as Mulligatawny.
No, it's not, is it?
Don't be ridiculous.
I thought that's what you were. That's the nearest
Vichy
you're going to
Suarez.
get.
Oh, no, that's the same.
Bless you.
Look, are you going to keep... Excellent. We're off.
Have you boys been keeping up with Justin Deaver? Because he's almost a friend of the show now, Justin Deaver.
He's got interesting, hasn't he? I like it when young
Oh, yeah.
people get interesting. It takes a while, but I think he's got there.
Are you Styles or Bieber, looks-wise?
Well, Styles, he's a good-looking lad, but I don't think he's up there with JB. They asked him about some other thing, attacking people and stuff, and he said, I don't need to address every speculation.
Yeah.
And I think for a 19-year-old, that's very articulate. I'd have been glad of that phrase when Smethwick Supplementary Benefit Office asked me if I was working on the side.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
I also went to the cinema this week to see a film, the name of which I don't remember. It's got pines in it. It's got the word pines.
Oh, that's the Ryan Gosling.
Yes.
Yeah. Any good?
Don't have a film where the title is so long it's not memorisable.
The Place Beyond the Pines.
Because your word of mouth
There you go.
is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay.
Place Beyond the Pines.
Yeah, it's about what happens is a bloke works in IKEA and he's sacked and he leaves a fish in one of the stores to stink the place out.
Oh no.
And it's about the search for this, where the smell's coming
Where
from.
the place
Oh
is.
no. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't say what. I'm not telling you what the conclusion
We
is.
know the fish's place.
But yes, exactly. And how few of us know our place.
Yeah.
So I went to see the Pine
Place Beyond the Pines.
Place Beyond the Pines, and it isn't really set in IKEA.
No.
Oh.
I made that up. It's
Duped.
Ryan Gosling, is it?
Oh. Lovely. Do you think he's handsome, Frank?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
he's
yeah.
handsome in
Yeah.
a dead before he's 30 kind of a way. You know what I mean? He looks like he lives the wild life to me.
Oh, lovely.
I don't know how old he is. He might be over 30.
I don't know.
It might have been makeup, but he looked a reckless character in this. It was... but anyway, before we went in, I went up for me popcorn. There's a bloke ahead of me, and he said, I'll have a bar of green and black, is it called? The
Yeah,
chocolate?
Oh,
I thought,
organic chocolate.
Fair enough, I
Nice.
suppose. Quieter than popcorn. And he said, and I'll have a glass of Chablis.
What?
Oh.
And I mean, fair enough, I realised they sell wine in this. They had trainers on. A man in trainers drinking wine at
You
the
worried-
cinema.
You worried he's going to break into a run after his glass of Chablis?
I love how easily outraged you are.
I am outraged. I said to the person I was with, in full hearing of this man, you know what? I've just realised I hate wine. I really hate wine. You know when people say, "Oh, I don't drink much. Have a glass of wine with a meal." Well, why do you do that, you idiot?
I hate it on
I
sort
do
of
that.
dating sites and
I'll
things
have
when
a
they
glass
say,
of wine,
like hobbies, I like to curl up on the sofa with a glass of red wine.
Yeah, I do that.
That's not a hobby, you're an alcoholic.
They're not alcoholics. That's what I hate. If there's one thing I hate, it's people who drink with great reticence a glass of wine. A glass? What good is that? I mean, the taste's horrible. We're only doing it to get drunk. Have a bottle of wine.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway, he had his glass of Chablis, and I made a big point of saying,
Like he's
large
calling it
popcorn,
Chablis.
large popcorn, please. And I said it in a tone which said, like you should be ordering in the cinema, which will take 2 minutes and we're done. And the bloke says, sweetie or salt? I thought, don't drag me in on this. Sweet, obvious. Did I say sweetie there?
Yeah.
Sweetie, yeah.
I've got a friend who's he's a very keen Freudian, and he says every mistake you make like that is relevant. Every
Really?
little hesitation, everything you say, like, is, if you look at it, it's real. So I looked at Alan, and I just desperately wanted to say sweetie. I have to live with that.
I'll take that.
Yeah. I love you.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
It's been a sad week.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll agree.
Yep.
We have seen to me, I don't know about you, but I didn't see this coming at all.
No,
JLS have announced that they're going to split.
Yeah.
I know.
Now, what is... You guys have got your fingers on the pulse of popular culture.
That's worrying if you're looking to us. Are we your youth
Why?
offensive here?
What's the truth of it? Because I haven't heard anything that sounds convincing.
JLS, the real story.
One of them said, and I have a quote here, we never wanted to outstay our welcome in the industry. Never bothered me, I must say. They'll have to carry me out on my shield. Now, they're nice lads, but what's happened? Have they lost their record deal of sales gone down?
I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit suspicious, if you ask me.
well,
it's a bit fishy. The last single, I think, was 112. That's all I'm saying.
Was it?
Yeah.
112,000.
No, in the charts.
Was
Oh,
it
I see.
really?
Yeah, I believe so.
Well, there's your
Talking about
answer
the
then.
numbers.
Well, I don't know. I'll need confirmation on that. But I think they have talked about what they're going to do now. You see, I've had an encounter. Have any of you boys met JLS?
I've met them a couple of times. Very,
All of them?
very, very neat hair.
He's worked with them all.
Yeah.
All of them are individuals.
All of them have got the neatest hair I've ever seen in my life. I mean, if we'd been in a hurricane, not one of those hairs would have moved. I mean,
It's manicured.
Oh, it's incredible.
I've had 2 Marvin encounters.
Here we go.
I sat with Rochelle and Marvin at the Wimbledon final.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's tremendous work.
We watched Andy Murray lose.
That reminds
We
me
shared-
of the time I went to the World Cup final with one of the guys from One Direction. Oh no, that never happened. Your life is like that. Mine is not.
I went to, I think it was England-Colombia with Tony the Tiger. I did. Me and David Baddiel had to sit with Tony the Tiger, and we got paid, I don't know, 500 quid for being photographed sitting next to him. I must have told you this story.
Yeah.
Would have bought your own tickets by then, surely.
I know, but you know,
Flush.
but we wouldn't have got to go with Tony the
Tony
Tiger.
the
I must
Tiger.
say he was very appreciative of the whole experience.
How much did he
said
pay?
it was-
to
Who,
sit with
David
you and
Baddiel
David?
was?
He said it was No, I must have told you this
Look, he's
because...
building up to a joke, come on.
No, it's not. It's a true story.
Okay.
He said to me, he said, I'm going to have to go and lie down for a bit. Tony the Tiger said.
Did he?
No, we never see this side of him on the adverts.
And he had a few, had he?
And he said, no, he said, I got a bit of sunstroke last week as the Pink Panther. And someone said to me he went, and we didn't see him for half an hour. And somebody said to me, Frank, you're with Tony the Tiger, aren't you? I thought, well, I never thought I'd lived. And I said, well, I'm about with him. He's sitting next to us. You see, he's lying down next to the refreshment on the floor. And well, there was 20 minutes to go to half-time, so I said, I'll have a look at half-time,
Yeah.
see if he's all right. But he'd gone. It's Tony the Tiger for you. What I was particularly interested to read was that J.B. Gill, another one of them,
Yeah.
he's going to start a deer farm,
Yeah.
and he says he's currently looking to buy deer.
Yeah.
So we know what he's doing at the moment.
Oh, lovely insertion, Frank.
Yeah, thanks. You haven't said that for years.
He's... oh,
He's going to start a deer
He said-
farm. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a deer
well,
farm.
he said, not only are they beautiful to look at, I'd like them to reproduce.
Yeah, I bet he would as well. I mean, the things that people do just for one good viral.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So look, this week I had And it was from a woman called Sue Eckhart. And Sue has made me a member of her organisation, which is an esteemed member, actually. I think that's probably...
Well, it's good to be an esteemed member.
Yeah. I've never heard of that before, but I like the sound of it. And an esteemed member sounds like the sort of thing that Armin Mivers, the German cannibal, would have. And I'll have esteemed member, please. I'm on a diet. No fried stuff.
A reference to him on commercial radio.
Who, Armin Mivers?
This early.
Yeah, I know, sorry. There isn't enough German cannibal material on Absolute. If I've said that once...
I'm very familiar with his work, Frank.
Yeah, so I'm now a member of the American Umbrella Hat Society. Now, this has come about because you may remember that I have mentioned this before, that when I first saw the umbrella hat, I hope you're familiar with the umbrella hat. It's an umbrella that you wear as a hat.
I'm familiar with it. I just don't know any one person who would wear it.
And when I first saw it, I honestly thought, well, that is the end of the handheld umbrella. I thought it's got no chance against that. But, I was wrong about the manual gearbox. I thought once the automatic came in, no one would be interested in that.
Really?
But terrible people still like the manual gearbox.
What, like racing drivers?
That's one of my tests of terrible people, along with cigar smoking.
See, I think terrible people are automatics.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're a bit, what are you driving these days? Aren't they a bit Alan Partridge?
No, you see, I think people who drive automatics, they don't have any pride about their driving.
Oh, okay, I see that.
Because they think, they'll let the car drive, I'll just move it about a bit. People with manuals, they want to be in control.
Okay. That's a convincing argument.
Yeah, so...
I'll have to be in control.
So anyway, I honestly, not in a jokey way, I honestly believed that the umbrella hat, that was going to be it. And it didn't really work out. And so so now I'm a member of this, and Sue, I didn't have to pay for the membership. It's quite exciting.
Money saved.
I'm quite relieved to hear it.
So obviously I've got a certificate which I've showed my colleagues here. And maybe we'll scan it for the website. Maybe we won't. So I had a look on their website. They have a store.
Do they?
Yeah.
What can you buy there, I wonder?
Well, you say that. You can get mugs, you can get wallets. The mugs I like, they come under a general category called drinkware. W-A-R-E. Drinkware. So there's glasses and bottles and mugs.
Yeah.
What would you guess that you can definitely get on the Umbrella Hat Society's store?
An umbrella hat.
Yeah, that would be incorrect.
No.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I like being a member. I've been a member of all sorts of organisations over the years.
Yeah, you were a Johnson Society thing.
Johnson Society, I'm a member of that.
President.
Yeah,
President.
ex-president. I'm a life member of the George Formby Society.
El Presidente.
I was in the Wings fan club.
You were.
I was.
Wings.
You know
were.
Wings.
Yeah, Wings.
Yeah, as in band. Yeah, I was a member.
Oh, I know their back catalogue. I was a bit stunned. Well, were you a member of the RSPB, which I was?
Oh, that's the bird?
Yes.
No.
Enamel badge I had.
That's a good one.
Booklet for watching.
Oh,
You had
brilliant.
to tick your favourites. Tawny, I think it was the male chaffinch I liked.
Oh,
Tawny breast.
that's quite... that's an obscure crush, the male chaffinch. Most people just like the chaffinch, but I'm not sure about the female. I find her crown a little too tufty. I was in the Gary Glitter fan club, I think, with music. I really was. I honestly was. We didn't know.
Play the song.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
David Beckham. Because we haven't talked about this, guys. Oh, that's showbiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, short memories.
Yeah.
Oh, David Beckham, yes.
Yes.
Yes, he's retired.
First Sir Alex, now him. I think they had a little deal going. Why did they retire so soon?
But you say that, first Sir Alex, now him. Wouldn't it be... If I could have take you back now, if I'd got a TARDIS and we could go back to the World Cup in, was it 98? When we played Argentina and Michael Owen got that wonder goal, and then David Beckham
He was a
got
silly
kicked
boy.
someone and people were hanging effigies of him.
Yeah.
Would you believe that several years later, when we're talking about retirement, we've forgotten that Michael Owen is retiring at the end of the season because
Yeah.
Beckham's is so big? Or about that was one of those who'd have thought moments. And people say to me, I bet you never thought, did you, when you was at school in West Midlands, that you'd end up having a television? I said, well, no, I did think that. And then people hate you, but I did think it. I thought it all the time. Sorry.
He did his exit interview with Gary Neville.
His exit interview?
Yes,
Oh,
that's what I'm
I
calling it.
didn't know he was being killed.
That's what it's called.
From a
when you-
Swiss clinic.
That's what it's called when you leave a company, an exit interview.
Oh, really?
But I like that Gary Neville is turning into a sort of David Frost figure. Why is he doing
Do you
interviews?
think there'll be a film called Frost Beckham about that interview?
That's about his highlights in the 90s.
You know that Paxman interview where he asked the same question 13 times? It was like that.
But Frank, have you met him, Beckham?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's met them
Worked
all.
with them all, hasn't he?
He said to me, I'd done him in a sketch a few times, you know, played him in a sketch. And he said to me, and I sort of looked a bit like him.
I'm interested to hear how you got yourself to look like David Beckham. So,
Extraordinary
yeah.
statement.
No, we had a very good
Extraordinary.
makeup woman, and he said to me, God, you must have a hell of a makeup woman if she can make you look like me.
Good for him.
Which I thought was a brilliant opening line.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something else about David. He'd come up to me, he had a white suit, white shirt.
Oh, my God.
You know, he looked like an angel. And I had a friend who was obsessed with him, a female friend, really obsessed with him. And she was sitting on a table and hadn't seen that he was there, hadn't turned up. And I said, I won't name her because she's a married woman now with children, but I said, let's call her Liz. So I said, there's a friend of mine over there. She's mad about you. If you went over and said hello, honestly, you would. And he walked over and he he stood behind. It's like he'd done it before. He tapped her on the shoulder. She turned around and the look on her face was just golden. And he said, hi, Liz, I'm David. And he bent down and kissed her on the cheek. And
Wow.
it was like a lottery win. It was, so yeah, a nice bloke, but one of those people who makes me think, how much money do you need?
Frank Skinner.
On Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
I've
Can I tell you a
mentioned...
story about Arcade?
You always can.
I spoke to Arcade this week and he was saying that he'd been poorly and he I think he went to hospital actually.
Oh.
And this has been, it didn't happen this week, so he's better now. But they said to him, he said to me, I don't think I'm not interested in medicine and all that. He said, I think it's a load of rubbish. He said, I think you can drink your way out of most illnesses. Which is an interesting theory. So he said, it's a waste of time. And he has always had that attitude. He has no interest in doctors, medicine, So, anyway, they took him in, they said, what's the name of your doctor? And he said, Dr. whatever it was, Dr. Matthew Jones.
Dr. Feelgood.
So he said like, the name of the doctor, and they said, right, and they looked at the records, they said, he died 8 years ago. And they checked the records, and our Keith had not visited a GP for 17 years. I love it.
Skinner, Dean, and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
Hi, Alan and Frank, and Emily, of course. Oh, cheeky.
Yeah.
I've got top billing there.
I would like to thank you, Alan.
Emily, little more than a postscript.
I would like to thank you for a great show in Kendal on Wednesday evening.
They put Kendall mint cake in the dressing room, which was
Oh,
sweet. of them.
lovely.
Which was sweet. Oh, that was an accidental pun.
wow.
Accidental
I saw
pun
that in
alert.
slow-mo as it was happening.
They're dropping off you like windfall fruit.
And the same week, I've also done a gig in Harrogate, and they had Harrogate water. Harrogate is a spa town, innit? So it's got water like Bath.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Actually, in the past, I've done a gig in Bath and had bath water, but I don't.
No,
like
you
that.
have not.
Bath water seems to me like kids
Let's-
drink bath water, don't they?
Do you mean from the actual spa?
Well, they just have bottled water, and it's called
Oh no,
bath water.
there's a proper spa water in Bath that's has the consistency of dog saliva.
Oh no, I don't want that. But it's given me a brilliant idea for my next tour, because the
What?
tour I'm doing is...
You're going to the Virgin Islands?
Is gradually... gradually eking to a finish, but I thought I could book in for next year just places that do food and drink named after the place. Like, you know, I could start the tour in Aberdeen and have steak,
Oh.
and then Arbroath for Arbroath Smokies. You know, the smoked fish.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Delicious.
Yeah. It's like your Ocado shop, your tour, isn't it?
I'm not just
but
going to go
it's-
I'm just thinking that's probably near, because it's both Scotland, isn't it? I could do them in the same couple of
I
nights.
think that would be a great idea for a tour. It's a great... Get publicity for it.
Do you think I could
Yeah.
turn it into, like, you know, some crazy... I bet Sardinia would be good. I'm not sure I'd make much money with the Italian
thought
economy.
they'd be
being as it
crammed
is,
in.
but-
Oh, what about the Black Forest, Frank? Lovely.
Yes. What happened to her?
Steady, I knew.
Sorry.
Melton Mowbray. What about a gig in Melton Mowbray, the pork pie?
Oh, yeah.
What about Bakewell in Derbyshire?
Oh,
Oh, lovely.
Cherry Bakewell tart.
yeah.
Which is actually some graffiti I wrote on the Box Fizz tour bus.
Well, it could be a world tour, though. It could be... I could go right to Alaska.
Oh,
Halfway to
Harvey's
Alaska.
Bristol Cream. I'll give you a call then. I love
Yeah.
that stuff.
Is that in Bristol?
Well, if it's got Bristol in the name.
It's not in
Just thought it might be
Harvey.
the name of a...
Yeah.
I thought it might be the name of a drink, but that sounds good.
Well, it is the name
Cheddar.
of a drink.
And it's in Bristol.
Yeah. Kendall Mint Cake is the name of a sweet. Sorry
Right.
when you do it.
No, I
Yeah.
didn't know that Harvey's Bristol Cream was a Bristol thing. Like, it could have been a different
What
Bristol.
do you mean? What different Bristol?
I thought it could be
What
like
did
the
you
name
think
of
it
a
was? Breast
process.
milk?
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I think we need to talk about George Michael.
Oh, yeah.
He's got himself into a little bit of trouble.
Like Frank Spencer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another driving related.
It's
George.
But not him at
vehicular,
the
as
wheel,
the Cockerel would say.
It is vehicular, yeah.
It wasn't him at the wheel.
No,
I hadn't quite worked that out.
he's on a ban.
To be honest,
Oh, is he banned?
I don't know if
Yes.
anyone had quite worked it out. I don't know if George knew, to be honest.
I'm shocked that George Michael has got to drive him back.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes, it was a very interesting and very literal example of life in the fast lane.
yeah.
He was lying in it, I think. In case you don't know, George allegedly, do we have to say allegedly or is it established now?
I think it's
He
established.
fell out of a car on the M1. We've all done it.
He was trying to close the passenger door.
Yeah, of another car that was going past. Trying to close the car door and falling out. What about his seatbelt? Didn't that help?
I don't think there's
What, hold it? Be very careful. I'm sure he was wearing one.
possibility that he wasn't,
He's a
according to
responsible
the
character.
news article.
What about what the Sun said? Scrape me up before you go slow.
Oh, is that
I mean,
what they
really,
said?
yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
I actually find it more acceptable than doing his new single at the Olympic closing ceremony. I think he's actually stepped. I'm worried, it's one of these cases where someone close to George needs to step in and say, George, you're right. Do you know that?
I don't think he can be blamed for being in a car. I suppose he can for
But-
trying to do his own
I
door.
don't really think...
I'm not here to apportion blame, that's not my role. But I'm saying George is getting himself into a series of scrapes. I don't think anyone's going to
He
argue with
literally
that.
got in a scrape. He
Yeah.
scraped his
I
tracksuit
think-
top, it said.
Black and gold, Adidas.
I love the fact
I
that he was
think-
on a long journey in a tracksuit. It just made me think of me. I was thinking, he's probably had his belt on drive setting as well. I loosened my belt
But
off
they
a
do
notch.
that. Sometimes you see, like Elton John was a
he loves
phenomenally
the
rich man.
tracksuits.
You wear like a white shell.
Yeah. He's obviously flying somewhere, or he's getting a long car journey.
I don't know if he is. I think he's trying to sweat off a pound or two.
I drove to a tour date in my tracksuit the other day. It
Did
was
you?
lovely. It was a great
I
feeling.
think George, though, I think he needs to realise he's not suited to driving long term. There are some things in life. For example, I tried horse riding. No good at it.
No.
Oh, lovely, Alan.
Thank you.
He should try an alternative form of transport, walking.
If you're having
He could
trouble,
horse ride, couldn't he?
He's got those lovely parks around Hampstead Heath. He could walk round there, for example.
no, he's but he wasn't driving.
No, he was a
No,
passenger.
You don't want to be driving at night in mirrored aviators.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
So, do you want to hear my latest obsession?
Oh, yes.
Because, you know, I go from obsession to obsession like a bee goes from flower to flower.
I've noted that
Yes,
about you,
pollinating.
Yes. And
Well, to
gathering.
be fair, Frank, YOLO.
And even when I slightly... yeah, well, it's true.
Yeah.
Why don't Coldplay, in an attempt to make themselves a bit cooler, do a slight modification on Yellow? And it was all YOLO. And then kids would say, you know, we were wrong about Coldplay. They're not cold, they're cool.
Even if they
Coldplay.
do buy
They
their
could call
clothes.
themselves Coldplay.
Cool place.
Even if they do
Brilliant.
buy their clothes from the
Get
Anton
me
Deck
Chris
shop.
Martin.
Do they?
Get me Chris Martin
they do.
now on the phone. He'll be up. He'll be up watching. I bet he's watching National Geographic.
Oh, do you think
Come
so?
on,
No,
Chris.
she watches French TV. doesn't
Yes,
she,
it'll
with
all
the
be
kids?
French and
It's-
Italian.
We talked about that, didn't
Of
we?
course she does.
We all approved, actually.
We thoroughly
surprisingly.
approve.
Yeah.
Education by stealth.
Education
Fabulous.
by stealth.
Can I
That's
text
great.
I text Buzz, my child, in case you're a new reader. She takes him to a show, not a show, really.
Show?
A
What's
sort
going
of a
on?
gathering of
Paul
mothers,
Raymond.
a gathering of mothers and children where they sing in French.
I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Frere Jacques and all that.
I think it's more master of the house. Everybody loves their landlord. But in French. I don't know
I
why.
hope it's not
why doesn't Al
Serge
Murray
Gainsbourg.
open? Why doesn't Al Murray open with "Everybody Loves the Landlord"?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Good idea.
Sorry, Emily. I've talked all
No,
over you.
you
there.
didn't, it's
no, I
fine.
did. It all went a bit mock the week.
Oh, God.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
Flashbacks.
No, I was just worried about what French songs. I thought it might be a bit Jane Birkin and Serge Gainsbourg.
Oh, I hope so. That's a great song. Maybe I'll play
You
that
like that
next
one?
week. I want to play that next week. I'm opening with that next week.
You
don't
pointed
think
at
I've
me
ever seen you point
emphatically,
before.
like
Yeah.
some sort of Labour MP in the 70s.
Oh, okay, you've got strange since 8 o'clock.
I quite like it.
The reason I pointed, I think, is I've just my wasp sting arthritis cure has really kicked in this week,
Oh, good.
and for the first time I've managed. My hand for years has looked like the lottery symbol,
Yeah.
and finally it's clicked it. And I'm thinking now pointing is an option for me. So that's
to
good.
know.
I like
So
it.
what
I like
my-
it when he said his tartrazine.
My new obsession is the Soviet Union.
extraordinary statement.
You know what? I'm pining for it. I know it gets a lot of bad press, you know, the gulags and all that.
The goulash gets good
But
press.
the goulash was fabulous.
Yeah, it does get quite bad press.
It does, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know that Peter Sellers film when he plays a trade union leader, and the bloke says, "Have you ever been to Russia?" And he said, "No, but I fancy it." You know, he said all those cornfields and ballet in the evenings. I've watched a couple of documentaries just lately. It looks great. It looks great. Why can't we become a communist society and just do what the government tells us to do and have big pageants with missiles and have
tell you what
pretty
would
blonde
be-
girls in traditional dress carrying flowers and muscular men in vests working hard?
tell you
Wouldn't
what-
we be
And
happier?
a
I'll tell you what
headscarf
would
on
be-
the lady,
What
and
would be easier?
Yeah.
would definitely be choosing bread when you're in the supermarket.
Yeah,
'cause
but
there
I
would
love,
be-
I
there
love
would be
queuing
37
now.
kinds.
also
there.
clothes are on those. Are you talking about? I think you're talking about like those Russian propaganda posters. I'm calling them, and they
Yeah,
always had
I'm talking about the whole thing except
Yeah.
for the gulags. Yeah.
hold the gulags.
Yeah, exactly. Hold the gulags. I've used that line before. But sometimes they just won't. And sometimes they do, but they're brutish.
I don't want to talk about the Hotel Intercontinental.
Okay. But it just looks great. I don't know about... When was the last time you went to a really brilliant pageant? Pageants are rubbish in England.
I'm still on gulags. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
They are. They're rubbish.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Boys, we need to talk about Kim.
Boys.
Yes.
We need to talk about Kim.
Boys,
would
boys.
have been a great Korean movie.
Yes. Well, this is not Kardashian. This is Kim Jong Un,
Yes.
and I've got a bit of an obscure crush on him. I have to say, he's a bit Elvis. He's a bit young Elvis, I think.
I tell you what I like. I've always thought it looks really cool. That very short sides on hair.
Sort of buzz cut. I love that.
Yeah, he's got a great buzz cut.
Brilliant hair.
It's called a high top.
Brilliant
is it? A flat
hair.
top.
Not a great human rights record. However,
But no moustache, so he's probably okay.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think
Yeah.
that's what we should look. I don't know if they're
Do you
not
think
good.
that bodes well?
They're not good at moustaches, the Orientals.
Eel wasn't a fan either. I don't know where Oon stands, but Eel wasn't a fan.
Was it on here that I was bemoaning the loss of the Fu Manchu moustache?
Yes, I think it might
Very
be.
probably.
Why doesn't he get one of those?
Why don't you ask him? He seems a reasonable guy.
Look into that.
He's been having a sort of bromance with Dennis Rodman,
I
the former
know.
basketball star. Have you heard about this?
It's one of the most remarkable.
It's one of my favourite pairings that I've ever seen in photograph history.
It's my favourite politician/celebrity pairing since George I and Peter the Wild.
They're such an unlikely pairing. I believe that this may be the beginning of a cop film. That's how unlikely friends they are.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they aren't about to solve a crime together whilst not getting on all
That's
the way.
right. That could work.
Rodman and Oon.
Although they are getting on, and Rodman let out a state secret, didn't he, when he went back to America and said, "Oh yeah, he's got a daughter."
He doesn't understand. They're quite secretive
Him
there.
and Kim would be. Him and Kim.
Him and Kim. That's the programme.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't-
If only it'd been Mel. If it'd been Mel Gibson, it would have been perfect.
Mel and Kim.
Oh, well, what a chance they missed there. Is
So
it too
really-
late?
Yeah, I think it
I
is.
think there's more of a chance you'd get on with Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson, I think. I think Mel Gibson might be a bit more right wing.
And Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, or whatever Kim. I don't know what wing they are, really.
I imagine them. I like to think they become sort of, because he called him friends for life. He said he's my friend for life.
Well, the last time I saw an example of Dennis Rodman in friendship mode was when he left the Big Brother house and turned to the remaining men and went, "Hey, stringfellows." I wonder if he said that to Kim Jong-un as they left. "Hey, Kim, stringfellows, I'll be there."
I think Friends for Life is North Korean for Bezzy Mates, innit? That's it. They're
He
Bezzy
did-
Mates now.
I think he might have given him one of those sort of Clinton's cards with the teddy bear holding a heart. I hope he did that.
Ah, brilliant.
But he did say, so he's sung like a canary. He's revealed too much information about the regime. They're not very open. They
Well-
like to keep things back. There was only one photo in circulation of Kim Jong-un. But Dennis Rodman has tried to sort of intervene politically, which I don't like it when they do that, the celebrities.
You don't think that's his role?
Well, he did say...
think
Well, surely it's a democracy.
ex-basketball
but
player.
He's trying to-
we can all intervene politically. That's what it's about.
He says he loves basketball, and so does President Obama, so they have that in common. And there is even more they could talk about if Obama would just pick up the phone and call him.
Yeah, I didn't like that. It felt a bit like My Mate Fancies You.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I don't want Dennis Rodman being a go-between
No.
in international
Well, why not? What
affairs.
about if he brought about...
Brought
I
about
must
what?
say, the frustrating thing for me is I've just made this series for Channel 5 called Frank Skinner's North Korea. And I feel that I've been slightly...
You know, you missed a pun there. You
yeah.
could have had Frank Skinner's comedy career.
Yeah, but it's a very serious
Yeah,
documentary.
yeah. Non-comedy
You've taken it
career.
very seriously.
Yeah, I don't want to have a programme called Frank Skinner's non-comedy career.
Why not?
Well, I've already got I Love My Country to look forward to.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Also this week I went to see the Scottish play, as it's
Oh.
known, Macbeth.
Yeah, you have
Said
to
it.
say that, don't you?
I've said,
Oh,
I've said.
that James McAvoy.
James McAvoy was in it with
No.
the blue eyes.
Is that the one where he had stage rage?
Yes.
Yeah,
He
someone
shouted.
filmed him or something, and he hates being filmed. It's very in the round. They're very close. I think some of them probably got a bit splattered because it's one of those with a lot of blood knocking
Oh,
around. It's a
really?
lot of blood. You know, some people do Macbeth and they think, let's get the blood out. It's a very male sort of, and for me, too Scottish.
Too Scottish.
Bang!
The Scottish play was too Scottish.
It was.
for
It was
you.
too. It was too Scottish.
I mean, you can see
That'd be
how
good
they've
on the
gone that
poster,
way.
wouldn't it? James McAvoy Macbeth, too Scottish. Frank Skinner.
What were they doing? Eating shortbreads? Dancing
No,
on
they
swords?
were
wearing kilts?
talking.
What?
They were talking Scottish.
Talking
You sound like a person that's read Train Spotting.
Do you know what I mean? They were saying tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace, and you think, don't do it like that. It's too Scottish.
It's Scottish. It's a Scottish play.
So what?
So what?
Well, so what?
All right, do it Welsh. Do it in RP
Have you
if
ever
you
heard,
want.
have
but
you
it's
ever heard
Scottish.
Hamlet say, to be or not to be? That is the question. He doesn't do it Scandinavian. Yeah. You don't get the Moor of Venice saying, well, I was what is my lovely Desmond? Just don't
Maybe
do
you
it like
should.
that.
Oh, I like that.
So Scottish. I blame McAvoy. He's come in and he's thought, this is my chance to be Scottish, because often in films, you know, people don't
Yeah.
want it.
Are you
Whereas
suggesting
here,
it's his Martin McCutcheon moment?
I think it's his moment when he thinks he's going to get back. He's, you know, he's...
Was it Modern Dress,
Scottishness.
Frank?
It was, I tell you what, it was modern.
Because I don't
I'd
like
say-
Coriolanus in a
I'd
t-shirt
say it
and
was sort of
trainers.
homeless chic. It looked like there'd been, it was sort of post-nuclear. Everyone was in,
Oh, right, yeah.
everyone was very shabbily dressed.
Oh. Shabbily dressed and too Scottish, Frank Skinner.
Very
Doesn't sound
male.
like a great night out for
They
you.
were very physical. You know, when you walk, you know, if you drive past a school and there's kids outside sort of wrestling
Yeah.
Yeah.
and stuff, and one always
Horseplay.
looks like they want to, and one always looks like they don't really, they're being picked on. They were like that. The actors were like that all the time.
Oh, right.
Like wrestling and shoving each
You know what
other
he's
about.
upset about? No cloaks.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there was a cloak in the whole thing, actually. Because they don't like a cloak up there, let's face it. Kilt, they like. I don't think there was a kilt either.
Was there a dagger? Surely there was a dagger.
Oh, God, there was a dagger.
meant
but,
to be.
You know, there was a dagger, but I was damned if I could see it.
Skinner, Dean, and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.